Hi everyone, my name is Sasha, and just a few months ago I tried to run local LLM on my Raspberry Pi 4. It worked, slowly, but worked. Also, my Raspberry has just 4 gigs of RAM, and that means I could run only a few models there. And then I thought, wait a minute, I have an old MacBook Pro with 16 gigs of RAM. Can I run LLM there? And if yes, which one is the best? Long story short, if you have an old hardware with a slow processor and limited memory, like my MacBook from 2015 with 16 gigabytes of RAM and 2-core CPU, you can still run a Gemma 4 LLM slowly. If that's what you were looking for, bye! If you're curious how I came up to this conclusion, stick with me please. If you prefer reading over watching, I'll add steps that I took in description, so yeah, please follow them. Why would I want to test LLM myself? There are already plenty of AI benchmarks. First, I want to call my channel Sasha Test. And besides, there is an article from University of California, Berkeley, where they describe how to exploit AI benchmarks with Python scripts. In other words, existing tests are not very trustworthy. I'll put a link in description so that you can read it yourself. How I tested this? I overcomplicated it, of course. I created a dummy project with 2 microservices, a front end, a database, Docker Compose environment, GitHub Action, and I thought, well, that should be enough. So next, I generated 4 prompts that were, I'd say, a bit overcomplicated as well, because one of them was check entire project, what can you say about it? And so on. And one of them, which I ended up using, was check GitHub Action. Next, it was time to set up my old laptop. I noted my laptop IP. I installed Olama. I set Olama host to 000 to allow external connections. I increased Olama default context length from 4K to 16K. I started Olama and pulled Gemma 4. On my other laptop, I installed OpenCode, created a config that pointed to my older laptop, the model that was there, started OpenCode, ask a question, and many minutes later got an answer. Well, alright, finally, everything works. Next, I collected a list of models with sizes between 12 and 16 gigs and pulled them one by one on my older laptop. It was time to test. The first model I tested was GPT 4.1. I didn't install it locally, I just used a free version that I was able to test. And it did alright. It spent like 6.5 minutes processing all of my prompts. And that's when I should have stopped, because 6.5 minutes is a lot of time. But I didn't. So next I tried DeepSeek Coder version 2. And it failed because it doesn't support tools. After that, I tried Devstral. It failed after 1.5 hours, and I didn't know that it failed immediately. I just checked the logs and I said error 500. I tried a few more times, they took like forever and then failed, and I realized I need to change something. I came up with a new plan. First, use Olama search and filter by tools. Next, look for models that are 8 gigs or less, because that is like half of the RAM that was available to me. And I was pretty sure that they will use more than that. And out of all 4 prompts, use the fastest one, the one that analyzes GitHub action. So my thoughts were like, it should be easy now. I was wrong. After compiling the list of all models, I spent almost 5 days running the same prompt against each of them. The reason is that some of them took hours before they responded with anything, and most of them failed to respond. They failed to use tools to read the file. They just failed silently for various reasons. But a few of them didn't fail. Ministral 3 and Nemotron 3 Nano, they didn't fail, but their answer was Zozolala, not very good. Qwen 3.5 didn't fail, and its answer was acceptable. It just took more than an hour to process it. Gemma 4, on the other hand, also had a good answer and took just 20 minutes to process it. So out of all the models I tested, Gemma 4 was the best because answer was good enough and the performance was also good enough. And I think next time I'll try to find how can I speed it up. Till then, bye-bye.